Hi there, it's Simon Gray from Career Codex, back with another weekly video. And this week I'm talking about the offer stage of any executive recruitment process. This is the stage at the end of the process where you're in negotiations with the employer in terms of an offer, remuneration package, compensation package, and a number of things happen. And one thing in particular sometimes happens, which I'm going to talk about today. Now, if you've found success, you've got the offer. This, of course, is a reward. It's a reward for your skills and experience to date, all of the things you've done to build your experience over time, the achievements that you've done, the value you've added to previous businesses that you've worked for. That, of course, you will then go on to add value to this new business that's in the process of negotiating an offer with you. It's also a reward for the effort that you've put into your executive job search. And if you followed some of the advice that I talk about through the website, careercodex.com, in the form of blog posts, podcasts, and videos, you'll know that you've got to put more effort in than anybody else, than your competition, to really increase the probability of you being the one that gets hired. And the Career Codex methodology, of course, is all about doing things different to everybody else to stand out so that you are the one that gets hired. So this time you've invested, this energy that you've invested to proactively control your job search, again, to get the offer is the reward for that hard-earned effort. So when it gets to the offer stage, what that means is that you've got to continue the process. You've got to get through the offer stage to make sure that you capitalize on the opportunity you've created to negotiate the best offer possible. Now, this week I had an email from one of my executive edge clients, somebody I'm working with on a one-to-one basis, who has been through the program, or he's on the program now. He's approaching the end of the program, and he's received an offer. The type of offer he's received, prior to the formal offer, he's had something called a pre-offer salary conversation. This is the pre-offer salary negotiation, whereby an employer, or sometimes a recruiter, will phone up the candidate and say, look, we're really interested in you. You're our chosen candidate. What we'd like to do is to get a feel for what the number is, what the salary is, what the remuneration is, what the compensation package is for you to accept this position. And this really is it's a feeling out exercise. And employers use this for a number of reasons. They don't want to make an offer that's going to be rejected on the money. They don't want to make an offer too high if they could have secured the candidate for a slightly more competitive offer. So it's their game of poker, if you like, to try and tease out from the candidate, from you, what you would accept the position for. And it really is a game of poker. And I want to give you a little bit of advice today about what not to do, and then about what to do to handle this situation carefully. And remember, this is the precursor to a formal offer. Once you have a formal offer which is written, it's a detailed offer. At that point, you have the opportunity to negotiate. This is the pre-offer salary negotiation. The first thing you should never do is give a number. If you give them a number, a salary figure that is too low, then they may just offer you that figure. And using the analogy of poker, it's as if you've shown your hand too early. The offer you could expect to receive is probably the number that you've given them. If your figure is too high, then they may think, not quite sure. They may divert to another candidate if there's a close second, which may put you out of the game. And your job here in the pre-offer salary negotiation is to get them to come to the table with an offer for you to negotiate. So the last thing you want to do is to give them a number that prices you out of the competition, of the race for that offer too early, without the ability to negotiate. Because once you're in the negotiation, you're the candidate in the negotiation, it's easier and less risky to try and increase that starting salary. The thing you have to remember is this: if you communicate a number, they are going to expect you to stick to that number if they offer you that number. If you say, well, look, I'm looking for £150,000 or equivalent in another currency, and they offer you that, they're going to expect you to accept the position at that level, because that's the number you gave them. But what you want to do is keep flexibility and not give them that number to push the ball back into their court to make an offer based on their assessment of your skills, experience, and how you fared against other candidates that would have been in the process. So what do you do? How do you handle this situation when they ask you for this number? Well, the first thing you should do is to reinforce how interested you are in this position, that this is the position that you want. Okay, you remind them of that. The second thing that you do is that you remind them why they're having the conversation with you in the first place. So why you are in a position whereby they're talking to you about a pre-offer salary, or why they're having the pre-offer salary discussion. Because what can happen in the offer stage, it all becomes about price, it all becomes about the number. But in actual fact, any recruitment process is not about the number. What it's about is getting the right candidate in the business. It's about their skills, experience and expertise, and what the employer believes this candidate will add to the business, having hit the ground running on day one. So you want to get back to that conversation and to remind them as to why you're there, why you're having that conversation with them in the first place. You then want to give them a number, but not the number, and a number is your current salary or your last salary if you're not currently working. Now, it's okay to give this number, it's factual. You're unlikely to accept a new position, advancing your career on what you're currently earning, so it's absolutely fine to give this. And this is kind of a benchmark as to your lowest level. It doesn't commit you to anything. What it does do, though, it gives them a number when they've asked for a number, but it doesn't really show your hand. It doesn't really give them anything that allows them to get ahead of the game in terms of the negotiation. And that might be sufficient, you know, if you do those three things. And what I've done, by the way, I've written a blog post on this. I've recorded a podcast on this. If you look in the box below on YouTube, you can click in to either of those to either read or listen to the actual narrative and dialogue that you can use to position what I've just spoken about. So you can use that verbatim, put your spin on it. I'd advise you put your own spin on it if you are going to use this for your own purposes, but rather than read this out on camera, it's probably easier for you to divert to one of those mediums to have a look at how to actually have that conversation. Now, of course, the employer may push you still for a number. They may come back and say, well, look, we need this number before we can make the offer. And you then have a couple of options. Option one, you reiterate pretty much what you've said already. You reiterate why you're the right person for the job, the fact that you want this job, and what you're currently earning. But then you ask them to come back to you and make an offer based on their assessment of how your skills and abilities and experience stack up against the other people that you don't know. You don't know these people, the other people that they've met. So you push the ball firmly back into their court. If they still push, you can go to option two, and here you can give them a range, and you reiterate the three messages I've just spoken about. But you can say something along the lines of, well, you know, look, I would be looking for somewhere between X and Y. This is a range of salaries. They can't hold you to a particular number because you haven't given them a number. You've given them a range that you would consider to accept. And of course, the top of that range will generally be what you would really like in an ideal world. The bottom of that range is probably your current salary or last salary. So it still puts the ball back in their court because they don't have a number to hold on to. And the onus is on them to then come back with a formal offer somewhere between those two extremes, from which you have an opportunity to negotiate. So have a click through to the links on YouTube in the box below if you want the verbatim narrative that I've put together that you can use. What I would say is this: with the pre-offer salary negotiation, if you give them a number, you're going to box yourself in. And the idea is that you don't do that so that you can box clever when it comes to the formal negotiation. And the formal negotiation comes once you've received the offer. Now, they're only going to offer one candidate. That puts you in the driving seat. It's then about how you receive, how you handle, and then how you negotiate the offer. And what you're looking to do here is to buy yourself enough time to make the right decision, particularly if you have other offers in the offing. And also you're looking to negotiate the salary upwards if you decide to do that. And my suggestion is this: the good candidates, the best candidates generally negotiate, but you do this in a professional way that is backed up by evidence. It's not about anything personal to do with you. It's about the marketplace. It's about the skills and abilities that you bring as a benchmark against other people in the marketplace. It's not about paying the mortgage or expenses that you have, whatever else. If you'd like to know more about how you negotiate the formal offer, as a starting point, if you jump on Amazon worldwide and you search for my book, Super Secrets of Successful Executive Job Search, the last chapter in there is about handling the offer and negotiation stage of any executive recruitment process. I'll put the link in the box below on YouTube, so you can find that too. So that's really it for today. Hopefully that answered my my client's question. I'm sure we'll talk about that on our next call. But that's it from me. Until next week, until next time, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.